2014 Beaver football signees. So the standard line is we are very excited about this class. It's the best class we've ever had. It is, today's a great day because it's a culmination of a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of film watching, a lot of phone calls, a lot of visits, and in the end, what you hope you find is the right fit for your team, your school, and that the player has found the right fit for him. I think that the longer I do this in recruiting, the more I see that need for everybody to understand what they're getting into. Why they pick the school, why we have picked them. And when you get a good match, you get a good feel about it, you get a commitment, then you got your best chance for success. So, we have a goal always of the right number of guys at each position. So we definitely position recruit by number. That doesn't mean that we would ever pass up a great player because we're going to be one over there. So it's not set in stone, but ultimately when we get to fall camp, we'd like a certain number of guys at quarterback, running back, tight end, and that has to fit into what we do with our system. We need tight ends, so we have to have a certain number of tight ends. If we're going to play 3 tight ends at one time in the game, then of course we have to have the depth that will accommodate that, so that one injury doesn't take us out of that personnel group. So we have to think about our system, that player, the number of players at each spot, and then build it from there. We've got an assortment of guys that are mid-year guys here, some that will be that are here now, some that will come for spring term, and then some that obviously the freshmen that will be coming in the summertime for our bridge program and fall camp. So from there, in that introduction, I'll leave it to you now to ask some questions.
Mike, you got a group from all over the country. Do you think it's the most widespread group you've had as far as geography? And you know how many states you went into to recruit? And does this signal a new era of Beaver recruiting?
There, it is definitely probably, what I would say looks like our most diverse group from different places. Particularly that Midwest area. I don't ever remember having, a guy from Chicago, Iowa, Minneapolis, all in the same class. That's kind of unusual. Now, I think what you're looking at here is kind of a sign of the times a little bit. With all of our technology, we get links all the time from kids all over the country, and then we have people that we try to keep up with it. We try to, don't overlook too much. Now, can you really see everything that's always coming in? Probably not, but we try to do a good job of that. And so all of a sudden you make a connection, like a Gleb Ewing from a small town in Iowa. How in the world does Oregon State ever find out about him? How do we ever get to the point where he's actually an offer? And then how in the world does he ever get where he's committed and then signs with Oregon State? It's an interesting story, not necessarily just him, but any of those guys from that distance. But I think it's a product of our world, of the access we have to video and information on players a lot of places. And then I think you're also seeing guys that are, more willing to explore because the world is smaller to them too. Gleb is an interesting deal because his family moved from the Ukraine in 2008. He hasn't even been in the United States very long. So a small trip to Oregon from Iowa is no big deal for a guy like that. And the neat thing is these guys found a connection too. We didn't just find the connection as a guy's a good player. They liked it. And so the guy, Yanni from Chicago, Yanni is a guy that we liked a year ago, and he got hurt, and so a little bit under the radar this year, but we stayed with it. And I think the reason we got him is we showed a loyalty to that offer that lasted through his injury, and maybe others fell off. So there's all sorts of reasons for that. I think it may not always be like this. It's not necessarily that we try to do this, but we found our best. We ranked about 4 guys as possibilities for our fly sweep receiver type. You know, we recruit 2 kinds of receivers. We like everybody in the world wants that big guy that's a physical mismatch for the defensive back. Everybody wants that guy. But we'd like that guy that could run. If that big guy could run the fly sweep, we'd like him to do that too. But most of the fly sweep guys we've had have all been, you know, James Rogers and Brandon Cooks and Marcus Wheaton and so, you know, smaller, really fast, dynamic guy that is really part of our running game. And so we ranked them all, and we picked out this Xavier Haskins as that's our number 1 fly sweep receiver. And, you know, the other 3 were out in the West Coast, but we picked out this is the number 1 guy, made a connection, got him to visit, and got him to commit, and so he signed. And that's how that one kind of came about. And then excited to get 3 more guys from Hawaii, and really excited to get back into Kahuku High School. You know, we haven't had a guy from Kahuku in a while. Love that place, great football place. At one time in our lives here, we had 5 players on a team from Kahuku. And then we haven't signed a guy for a few years there. So to get Lamone coming back here, to me, is a big deal. Get back in Kahuku and get the string going again there. And then quarterback, I think we got a real good situation going. Coming out of this class, the 2 guys, the freshmen that we signed, Nick Mitchell and then Marcus McMarion, love those 2 guys. But they're not going to play next year. They're going to redshirt and develop those guys for the future. But we got a transfer in Luke Del Rio that he probably won't play next year either, but he's older and be further along, and when Sean graduates, he'll be right in the mix of that competition for the next deal. So I like the quarterback picture. I think we have them spread along pretty well now with ages, and that looks good to me. So from there, I'll open it up again to questions.
Mike, I was curious if maybe you could just run down the list, maybe a quick breakdown of each player. I know it might take a little while. You've done a little bit already, but if you wouldn't mind doing that.
Drew Clarkson, the lineman from right up here in Camas, very good football program, and you know, always linemen are like gold in recruiting. This guy is smart, he is tough, and he's already got pretty good size. He'll need to develop a little bit more physically, but we really like his mobility too. Cammy Delp is a 2-way guy, could be offensive lineman, defensive lineman, probably start him on defense. Yanni. You can say his last name for me, Yanni D. I know his family has a great restaurant that they own called the Purple Onion in Orland Park, Illinois, right outside of Chicago. And I talked a little bit about him. He got hurt this year, missed a lot of football, but we liked him from the get-go when we saw him from film from a year ago. Gleb Ewing, walk-on, Iowa. I think a prototype defensive end for us, fast, athletic, will fit right in. Fitu Fisiali, we say athlete because he could be a linebacker, he could be a defensive lineman. He's a good-looking, good-sized kid. Datron Guyton, he's that kind of bigger receiver. We think can possibly be that physical mismatch guy. Xavier Hawkins, speed, fly sweep, good all-around player. Kevin Hayes, nice size corner. You know, you see 6'3" right there in Bakersfield, California. Like his length of his body and like his speed. Sumner Houston, another De La Salle player, and gosh, we've had great success with guys from that high school, and he's another one. He's a grinder of a player, talented, hardworking, smart. I'm glad to have him. Jake Knight, very athletic tight end from Idaho, right outside of Boise. I think that we need more and more guys like this on our team. You know, he's versatile, good basketball player. I think will fit in well to what we want to do with the tight ends. Ricky Luchin, again, a guy about this size, you could get 10 of them and not get enough of them because they play all over the place. He's athletic, he's tough, he can run. He could be on the kickoff team, the punt team, play outside linebacker for us. Marcus McMarion might be the best athlete movement-wise at quarterback that we've recruited in a while, and he's a very accurate thrower, versatile player at that position. It'll be fun to see him develop. Nick Mitchell, actually his brother Josh plays lineman here, and Nick got the quarterback genes in the family. He can really spin the ball, throws a beautiful football, played on a good team, well coached, and it has a really nice arm, can, I think, throw all the balls that we need to throw. Trenton Moore is an offensive lineman that is tough and mobile and athletic, and will probably need a redshirt year to develop a little more physically, but when he does, he'll grow into exactly the guy that we want. Ryannall, I really am excited about him. He's a guy, could be a linebacker, could be a fullback, could be an H-back, ran the ball extremely well for Central Catholic, good all-around player, plays on their basketball team. I'm really excited about Ryan. And then Robert Olson was one of our later commitments. We really needed to get this guy to get close to the number of offensive linemen that we wanted. Good size, very smart, 3.9 student, tough. His coach, just a sidebar, his coach is Mike Grant, Bud Grant's son, and plays in a good program there. Tanner Sanders, I think one of the top athletes in the state of Oregon. Tanner gives us versatility. You know, we recruited a lot of guys based on, like back to Jordan Poyer. We just knew he was a good football player and a good athlete. He played kind of a pseudo safety outside linebacker. He played quarterback. You know, what is he for sure? He ended up being a great corner, you know, and so the same thing. Our job will be to help Tanner find that correct niche for him. Might be quarterback. I mean, he's just a good football player. That with that athletic ability, that kind of size and speed, he'll find a good spot. Adam Sochman, again, 6'2", 195. You know, about like what Ryan Murphy was initially, right? And a versatile player, be a safety, be on the punt team, be on the kickoff team. Very, very smart. Bright from Katy, Texas. Very, very good football area. Again, this guy can run. He can play outside linebacker. He'll be all over the place in this team as far as special teams. Kalani, probably one of the guys most ready physically to step in and compete. 6'4", 300 pounds right now, and a good athlete. Really excited about him. Dwayne Williams, corner out of Texas. Kind of came on him a little bit late. Coach Perry really liked his ability, and he showed up offensively. He showed up defensively, kind of like what we saw in probably initially in Rashad Reynolds. I mean, the same kind of athlete. Lamone Williams, the kid out of Kahuku I talked about earlier. Again, Lamone is, you know, he's a versatile guy. He could be a defensive lineman. He could play on the edge as an outside backer, as a rusher. And like I said, one of the best football players in Hawaii, and a guy that is versatile, you know, as far as inside, outside, or behind the line of scrimmage as a backer. Jonathan Willis, another one of those outside linebackers that can run. And again, with the spread offense, guys that have to play out in space, you need that kind of range and being able to run and make plays in space, and that's where Jonathan fits in. Luke Hollingsworth, again, you look at these junior college guys, we're looking for guys that, these guys, when you ask a question about who do you expect to be in the mix, these guys have to be. I mean, they're junior college players, they're selected for a specific reason as far as what we need them to do. Luke Hollingsworth is a defensive lineman. Bobby Keenan is an offensive lineman. DeMarlon Morris is a corner, obviously, like Steven Nelson a year ago. Took him a little time to really fit in, but he fit in physically right off the bat. That's what DeMarlon needs to do. Kyle Pico is a guy we've been waiting for a while, and I think that he gets here in spring ball, gets going with what we do. By the time we get to fall camp, this guy could really help us. And then you've got Luke Del Rio. He's going to be here for spring ball. He, at this point, is not eligible probably in the fall, but there's a chance that he could be, I suppose. And then Baker Pritchard, the same thing. He probably will not be eligible in the fall, but maybe he could be. So these might be also be guys that might have to redshirt and then be ready to play. Okay. Next question.
Mike, as far as the quarterback situation goes, obviously you're going to have to replace Manning after next year. You signed Mitchell and McMarion and Del Rio, and I guess Sanders, as you said, could be in the mix there. That's a lot of options there. Is it a matter of trying to play out and see how this fall goes with those guys, see how they develop before, and give them that year? Because it's going to be a lot of guys there at quarterback.
Yeah, I think that what we have to do initially is get the guys ready that are going to be on the team, and it starts with Sean. Sean, we want to do everything we can to maintain his progress and keep him growing, and then obviously right with that get whoever is going to be his initial backup ready to go. Brent Vanderveen, Kyle Kemp, and then on the side note, take those younger guys that are in the program and develop them. Get them going in the training that they'll need to be the next Sean Mannion. And then let time and competition play out from there. But we don't have to jump too far ahead with that. The initial thing is to get them learning what we do, and then working on how to do it, physically. And that's it. But it is really two different. You're in two different teaching modes. One of them is about getting ready to win games with these guys, and getting these guys ready to go so they have a foundation, so they'll be that guy that can win some games in 2 years from now.
Coach, I think a lot of us are familiar with Drew Clarkson's story a little bit. The way he was able to battle cancer and kind of start to overcome that, what does that say about him, and did that attract you when you were recruiting him?
Well, Drew Clarkson is an impressive young man, and it's really interesting to talk about him and his battle with cancer and what that meant to him. And, I think that at a very young age, he has learned what the word perspective means and opportunity means, and to not take anything for granted. That's the exact quote from him. That's what he's learned, not to take anything for granted. I think we're going to get a very diligent, good person, hard worker, talented guy in our program that has already been through something that most people don't even have to think about, especially at your age or his age. And so I've gained, besides the football admiration I already have for him and offering him a scholarship to play, he's a terrific young man.
Mike, you started to talk about Marcus a little bit, McMarion, in terms of him being the most athletic guy. You're the team that huddles now, and you're bringing in a dual threat guy. How do you see him maybe down the line in the future fitting in with his athleticism?
Well, I think that, the number one thing a guy has to be able to do for us is throw the ball. He's got to be able to throw accurately, and throw all the balls that we want to throw. He's got to have that versatility of the arm that we need. And then the bonus is, what else can they do? So our exploration of Marcus will come through time. The first thing we want him to do is learn what we're doing and learn how to make the throws on time and be accurate with those throws and get a chemistry going with our team and work on his skill set. And then whatever we can develop with him after that, that we might have for him specifically because of what he can do athletically, we'll see that as it comes. But this is a terrifically gifted, intelligent young man. This guy's got some stuff, so I'm excited about what he brings to Oregon State at the quarterback position that might be a hair different than we've had in the past.
Mike, were there any big surprises for you guys in either direction, whether someone decided to go somewhere else or go with you guys?
The beauty of today, there were no surprises, because what you expect coming in is the 25 guys you have committed, that they'll all just sign and everything will be smooth. And that's really what happened. Now, we got a commitment for that 25th spot as late as yesterday. So we had 5 guys up. We had a little bit of a priority list, but it was a little bit like, first come, first serve. You know, whenever one of you guys are ready to commit, then whoever says it, you get it. It wasn't exactly like that, but kind of in the most part. So, you know, we kind of waited on one guy, didn't get it, and then boom, the other guy called and made his commitment. So, you know, all these guys were above the line, guys that we wanted. You know, in this day, with the new rule that was passed 2 years ago, you can't sign 26 guys, 27 guys, 28 guys, and then deal with the numbers later. You cannot sign more than 25. So what you want when you send 25 out is for 25 to come back. Otherwise, you might end up with 24, 23, so you're a guy short in what you might have been able to get. So you got to kind of hit it right on the nose, and you got to know what they're going to do. You know, if we send them out, then you got to know it's going to come back. Otherwise, you're going to be short, and you're going to be scrambling. And then you come a day after signing date, and you try to fill it. You're 50-50 on whether you're making a good decision or not. Those late choices like that many times can be, they fail. You know, that's my experience with them. It's not good. So that's why no surprises was a very good thing.
Mike, Ryannall really burst onto the scene his senior year. Do you feel like he was a guy that was kind of flying under the radar as far as other teams?
You know, I think so. I think we had the benefit last year of having him in one of our half-day camps. And when I saw him, I thought this guy is a no-brainer. He's got great feet. He can run. He's got nice size already to do what he's going to do here, whether it's be an outside backer, he is like a perfect style H-back for us that might be more versatile than the H-backs that we've had in the past. I mean, he is an interesting guy, and I'm very excited about him and his ability.
And, you know, with him and Sanders, are you excited to get two guys from Oregon after last year not having any?
Yes. You know, we want to do our homework here. You know, and then we want to get some guys from our state. I've always enjoyed that process. I think there's a limited number of prospects in Oregon, but there might be a few more under the radar than some people think also. So, you know, we just want to make sure we uncover all the rocks here in this state, and then that we get some guys. And in our history, we've had a great foundation of players from our state that are good players that have done well, you know. And you know, one of the teams I remember well, and they had great success in the Civil War game. Billy Swancutt, Derek Anderson, Mitch Mewson, Joe Newton. Those guys were all on one team, and they're all in-state guys, and they were really good players, some of them NFL players. And so we keep trying to do a good job here. We're not always going to get them all or get all the guys that we want to, but we want to be in it. And then in the end, we want to get our share.
Coach, when you were recruiting Tanner and you were talking to his father specifically, did you change your approach since he was Tanner's high school coach?
Well, you know, that's an interesting deal, and you know, we know and appreciate Scott, who's been not only an alum but just an avid supporter of Oregon State athletics in general. So we appreciate that. We try not to let that enter into necessarily what that means in the recruiting, because we want the right fit first. So when we know Tanner's the right fit athletically, and then have that relationship that we've already had with his father, that to me is the bonus of the thing. And was it different because it was his coach? Not necessarily. Because we're so close to him. You know, he's always around the office. He's always, you know, he's got his team that works out around here. And so we feel pretty comfortable with him as Scott and him as the local high school coach. So it was actually a fun way to recruit.
Did Isaac Samalo or Nolan or Blair have anything to say about another Corvallis guy, a guy from the rival high school?
You'll have to ask them. That's I'm sure they'll have some fun talking about that. But you know, I think it's pretty special to have all these guys from right in town, not only in our state,
Mike,
and good players.
Sorry, Mike. Last year, this time, you were hoping to maybe be talking about Luke Del Rio.
Yeah.
A year later, you get to. Maybe if you could just kind of walk us through that journey of what it's been like to finally get him coming.
Yeah, the interesting thing, you know, I reminded him when I was able to legally talked to him after he got permission from Alabama to visit with other schools, I reminded him, I said, I remember I told you if you ever change your mind, give me a call. And I was thinking at that time it would be next week, not next year. But I'm excited about this because I think this guy's a really good player. And, it's all that stuff, whatever. I won't speak to his deal about Alabama. That's not my business to do that. I just think that I'm glad that when he decided to leave, that he picked us to come to, because we, like I said, we really liked him. Thought he fit very, very well what we did, and I think he actually did very well at Alabama. Every report that I've gotten out of there is that he competed very well and was sometimes 2 or 3 on the depth chart, with that McCarron that they had as a veteran coming back there. So, and that doesn't surprise me. This guy's a good player.
Coach, did you kind of target Morris kind of the same way you were targeting Steven Nelson a year ago? Was it kind of with that same mindset of a guy who can come in right away and contribute for you guys, fill a need?
Really important when you recruit a junior college player, you always need to be right, but you need to be doubly right with a junior college player. You need to, provide an opportunity that is going to be more instantaneous. It's going to work faster. When we recruit a freshman, I'd like to redshirt them all, right? And have them in the program, develop them, physically get better, get smarter, know our stuff more. Junior college player is different. They got a short lifespan, right? They have 2 years, and if you were wrong about them physically, then there's going to be some discouragement on their part, and then you're not going to get what you need. And so they need to fit physically what you're going to want to do, and you have to have the right opportunity for them. It doesn't mean you're going to give them a starting spot. We never go that route, but we know their opportunity's good because both sides are disappointed if it doesn't work, and they're disappointed to the point where he's only now, if he doesn't play his first year, he's only got 1 year left. So the time goes just like that. So you really have to hit it on the head. 1 year we recruited 5 junior college guys, and that was a lot, but boy, did we hit it right. It was Dorian Smith, Joey LaRock, Clinton Polk, the corner, Coy Francis, and Gerard Lee. All of them players. All of them, boom, they were all like starters right away. And those guys impacted that team tremendously. We had a great year, and they were really good guys. So it worked. Now, you don't always hit it like that, but that's when we look at a guy like DeMarlin, that's what you got to have. You hope for the best in that regard.
Just clear up the transfers. Which of them count back last year, and then which of them will count towards this year's?
Well, right, Dan. Let's. Bobby Keenan is not. I'll just say who's not part of this 25. And that's probably the best way to do it. Bobby Keenan, Luke Del Rio, Kyle Pico, and Baker Pritchard do not count on the 25. So the rest of the guys were signees that are part of the 25 scholarships for this class.
Coach, can you talk a little bit just how you kind of heard about Baker and how that whole process went?
Joe Samalo found him, and I'm not sure where he got the first phone call from or how that worked, but Baker basically went to BYU, went on a mission, and then came back and wanted to explore somewhere else. That's simple as it was, and I think he talked to Coach Mendenhall. I know that he did, and they agreed to open the door for him because of what his personal desire was, and Joe found out about it, got in touch with him, and he's going to come here.
I wanted to ask about you talked about innovations in recruiting and how geographically you got a lot more. Can you talk about Gunderson's tweet film? And I know that didn't really affect this year, but going forward, the tweet film Tuesday that he did on Twitter.
You know, I think that who knows what that might mean to finding a guy, you know, and I think that what it did was really it was kind of a good message to the guys out there about being able to get their film actually seen, because there are, I don't know if I could say thousands, but probably could, of the number of videos that can come through, you know, your email or the huddle situation, whatever it is, the access is unbelievable. So for those people to think that they got an opportunity, I think is a good thing. I don't know if actually any one guy on this group came from that, but I think it was a good kind of PR thing to do.
Mike, you talked about the guys from the islands, how important it was to get back into Kahuku specifically. But with those three guys, how important in hindsight was the bowl trip out there? How much did that impact your recruitment of those guys?
I think the bowl trip was big for us, and I knew that it would be because we had numerous high school coaches, including a couple of these guys, high school coaches come by. A couple of these guys came by and kind of solidified what they were thinking about our place. Got a chance to watch our team practice, even though we couldn't talk to them or have contact with them there. It was good. I think it's always good for a guy to watch your team practice. I think they can get a better vision of how they fit in and the style of which our coaches coach, you know. And so that's why I like that kind of access, open access for people to watch us, because I think there can be residuals like that are helpful in getting the next guy into the program.
So a topic of conversation in the fall be Brandon not being there and trying to replace his production. You got a mix of receivers in this class. What do you like kind of about that mixture? You touched on it earlier, bringing in guys who can run the fly sweep and also be that big physical matchup. But Datron obviously is a guy that sort of jumps off the page.
Yeah, I think that you just said it really. We've got as our system develops and as we look at what we need to do, we need to have a fly sweep guy, you know. And even if the fly sweep isn't going good, we have it all incorporated in our screen game and our play action game, and then the fly sweep will come back alive again because they got to defend it all, you know. So it's a good package for us, but that guy also has to be a receiver, you know. I guess you could say that the prototype player for us at that spot is Brandon Cooks. He can run the fly sweep, he can make something happen, he can run a reverse, he can run our around play, and he can go out and catch 128 passes. That'd be good. That's our prototype guy. That's who we want right there. Okay, now who's that guy out there? And so we rate him like that. We rate him almost in two categories. This is your physical, good-looking guy. We've got some guys here, Malik Gilmore that's like that. We've got Jordan Villamine in the program that's like that. You know, we've got some good-looking, bigger receivers. And then we've got, you kind of got that other guy that kind of is a betweener. And those guys like Kevin Cummings end up at slot back. Smart, know how to run routes, know how to get open in zones, big on third down. That's a slot back for us. And then you've got, and those guys almost end up there because, well, they're not this guy and they're not that guy. Let's put them right here. But they're good players. You know, back to Shane Morales. In that era, you know, to Kevin Cummings is a real good example of that person right now. And I think we've got some guys that'll fit right there in the future. And then there's that other category that okay, who could try to do what Brandon Cooks just did, okay? Win the Biletnikoff, catch 128 passes, run the fly sweep, run the reverse for a touchdown. That's the guy. That's who we want. And we hope Xavier is that guy.
Any other questions? One from Connor.
Xavier, I think his high school coach told me he was the guy, he sent the film to you guys, right? He kind of came to you.
Yeah, I don't remember how that first connection went. That might have been the case, and I don't know why he would have picked us unless he saw us play and watched Brandon Cooks play and said, because Xavier ran the ball too, you know, and he did all that stuff. So a fairly versatile guy. I do not know where one of our people, whether it was Brent Brennan or somebody like Ryan Gunderson, got that first tape or video.
I think you're done, Coach. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for being here. Appreciate that.